There's a guy that's in MMA now. There's the last guy to knock him out. Dude is different. He's scary. He's scary. That dude has nuclear power. He's got crazy power. His name's Alex Pereira.
With all the clinch and the grab. Because he's... Oh!
Best known for making Israel Adesanya's fighting life miserable, Alex Poatan Pereira is one of a kind. A man mountain among middleweights, Pereira has made a blistering start to his UFC career, winning the promotion's 185-pound title in just 4 fights. That's thanks to the touch of death packed in his notoriously left hook, which has forced even the best in the business into oblivion. In today's video, we take a closer look at the illustrious career of one of the most prolific knockout artists of his generation. Born on July 7, 1987 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Alex Pereira grew up in a favela or slum and literally had to fight his way to the top.
These vast slums, like the Complexo de Alemão in the northern sector of Rio, have long been neglected by the state.
The Brazilian had a tough adolescence. He dropped out of his school and started working at the age of 12 to make ends meet, and while working, he turned to alcohol under the influence of his colleagues. Pereira initially started training in kickboxing to get healthy, and his above-average talent was quickly recognized by his coach, who urged him to fight professionally. Pereira is an indigenous Brazilian from the Potosho tribe, and his moniker, Poatan, which translates to stone hands, is inspired by his indigenous ancestry. Pereira is a tribesman through and through and is deeply influenced by his culture and traditional values. That's why, after winning the UFC middleweight title, he brought it back home to the Reserva Potosho Porto do Boi in his native Brazil and celebrated the biggest achievement of his career with his people. Poatan's journey in martial arts has been long but fruitful. In his kickboxing career that spanned a little over a decade, Pereira competed in 40 fights, winning 33 times, with 21 coming by way of knockout. Pereira started practicing kickboxing in 2009 and started making noise on the kickboxing circuits after winning the WAKO Pro Kickboxing Pan American Championship in 2013. A few fights later, Pereira made an incredible start to his glorious kickboxing career, knocking out American kickboxer and mixed martial arts artist Dustin Jacoby in the very first round.
Doing it and just keep hunting with the hands like that.
6 fights and 4 wins later, Pereira faced Isreal Adesanya at Glory of Heroes 1 in 2016 and won by a comfortable unanimous decision. Adesanya was handed an opportunity to avenge his loss at Glory of Heroes 7 in 2017, but the last stylebender was knocked out cold in the 3rd round, with the left hook being the culprit once again. The fight was going in Adesanya's favor, and he had a solid first couple of rounds, but Pereira's power was his ultimate equalizer, and he used it to devastating effect. This was the first time Israel Adesanya was knocked out in his professional career. Pereira's next big knockout came against Maycon Sivla at WGP Kickboxing 40 in 2017. Sivla did a decent job of attacking Poatan's legs, but his kicks didn't have any sting behind them. On the other hand, Pereira was landing with menacing intentions. His punches had more venom, and while Sivla managed to hold his own in the first round, he was brutally knocked out in the second. One of Pereira's most notable kickboxing wins came in his middleweight title fight against Yousri Belgaroui at Glory 55 in New York. Having fought twice before, Pereira and Belgaroui were tied at 1 apiece, with the Tunisian winning their first fight by decision and Pereira winning the second by technical knockout. The trilogy was action-packed as long as it lasted, with both men battling in close range, but ultimately, it was Pereira's power that proved to be the difference once again. A vicious straight right seconds before the end of the first round separated Belgaroui from his consciousness. Pereira kept his title and earned bragging rights. In his 4th middleweight title defense, Pereira faced Netherlands' Jason Wilnis and made light work of him, knocking him out with a vicious flying knee halfway through the first round. Wilnis was on the back foot from the very beginning, relying heavily on counters. His plan failed miserably as Pereira landed a perfectly timed high kick as Wilnis fell flat onto the canvas. The Dutch kickboxer managed to return to his senses in time, but as soon as the referee resumed the fight, Pereira fired in a flying knee and put his opponent out of his misery.
Go for the finish! What a leaping knee! Down 12!
In his next fight, Pereira moved up to light heavyweight and fought 21-year-old Donegi Abena for the interim title. The Surinamese showed great heart and stayed in Pereira's face for the majority of the fight, but the Brazilian was a huge step up in competition for his much younger opponent, and after 2.5 rounds of fighting through his skin, Abena made it to the list of Pereira's vanquished foes. And for the umpteenth time in his career, Pereira's left hook worked like magic. Pereira's final knockout win in his kickboxing career came against Ertugrul Bayrak in his middleweight title defense at Glory Collision 2 in 2019. The Turk was utterly outclassed and had no answer to Pereira's precision and power. He got outboxed through the first round and was brutally knocked out right at the buzzer. That was Pereira's final fight at middleweight in kickboxing. He fought a couple of times in the light heavyweight division, winning the undisputed title before losing it to Artem Wakitov in 2021. In the meantime, Pereira's journey in MMA had started in 2015, but he didn't have an ideal debut. The Brazilian lost by submission in the third round of his first MMA fight. However, he bounced back with 2 stoppage wins in 2016 before taking a break from the sport, so he could focus on kickboxing. Still 3-1 in mixed martial arts, one would think Pereira was too raw for the UFC, but he was still approached by the promotion based on his fierce rivalry with Isreal Adesanya, the UFC's middleweight champion at the time. Pereira set the alarm bells ringing in New Zealand after knocking out Andreas Michailidis with a flying knee in his UFC debut.
I was speaking to with all the clinch and the grab.
Michailidis resorted to grappling and had Pereira thrown down during the first round, but he failed to land anything of substance. The crowd erupted with boos at the end of the first frame. 18 seconds into the second round, however, Pereira lit up the Madison Square Garden with a highlight reel knockout. After a decision win against a resilient Bruno Silva in his second UFC fight, Pereira fought Sean Strickland in a middleweight title eliminator. The American was coming into the fight with a 6-fight winning streak and way more mixed martial arts experience, but the Sao Paulo native's counters were sharp, and midway through the first round, Pereira connected with his vicious left. Despite having only 3 wins in the UFC, Pereira was fast-tracked to a title fight against Israel Adesanya because of the history between the two. Adesanya and Pereira locked horns for the 3rd time in their careers at UFC 281. The Nigerian-New Zealander had a fantastic first round in which he struck his arch-rival before badly rocking him with only a few seconds left on the clock. Pereira had a hard time making reads on Adesanya for the first 4 rounds of their battle and managed to win only 1 round. In the 5th round, however, he went for broke after pressing Adesanya against the cage, landed a vicious left hook that rattled the reigning champion. A couple of blows later, Pereira was the new UFC middleweight champion. With 3 consecutive wins against Adesanya, Pereira probably doesn't need to prove his mettle anymore. He's proved time and again that he's a nightmare matchup for arguably one of the finest middleweights in mixed martial arts history. Still, Adesanya will get another go at Pereira when the 2 lock horns in a middleweight title rematch at UFC 287, and he's confident of slaying his demon once and for all. The former champion certainly has the technical edge over Pereira, but can he avoid the Brazilian's left hook from hell, and that too for 25 straight minutes? We'll have to wait and see. You just watched us cover the best knockouts of Alex Pereira's incredible kickboxing and mixed martial arts career. Do you think Pereira has the most lethal left hook in combat sports? Give us your thoughts in the comments section below. If you liked our video, please subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon next to it so you get notified the next time we upload one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.